ball to ball. I'm not allowed out past 8 p.m.
Nick, you should just select my stuff every time you stream, man. Just push it out on my network.
Oh shit! I'm sorry.
You're fine. No, I just wanted. I went through like. Now that I have producer powers, like I have used them. Like, Tim and I were on Matt versus Match the other day, and I saw he didn't select stuff, so I just started grabbing his stuff and selecting it as we were streaming. He was like, "Why do we suddenly have 12 people?" I was like, "I doubled the people you selected because he only usually selects your channel. That's it." And I was like, "No, I'm selecting all this stuff. I'm putting it everywhere."
Yeah, that's why I'll usually, after I know Tim makes it, I'll go in and I'll fix it. I'll just put like the things up. He's awesome though. He takes that seriously, and I love it.
No, he does a much better job. You know me. If I had to pre-produce stuff, nothing would happen. It's got to be live for me, and like live, I think I do a pretty damn good job. But if it's pre-produced, I would never. I'd be like, nah, I don't want to do that. Like. He gets off on this stuff, man. He sets up all those clips and like all that. Like, I just want to be in the moment.
Yeah, but we've recorded like when we would talk about when McCarthyism, things like that.
Yeah, I just don't think I do as good of a job.
No, I think you did great. It was conversational. In fact, I think it was more conversational because we weren't like live trying to talk to people. You know.
Oh, I love live, man. It's like jazz, right? Like
it is. It's so much fun.
I want to be in the moment. It's like athleticism, Frankie. You could probably attach to that. Like it's the difference between watching and playing. Like I feel like being live is like playing the thing. You're playing it, but when you pre-record and plan and have everything out, it's more like watching something, and you just don't have the same power, strength, whatever it is, man. Like I just love this. Like I feed off live too. Like when I record stuff, I don't feel the same energy. I don't feel the same. I felt the same way. So like when we did the recording with the original Jennifer from Back to the Future,
Claudia,
yeah, we did that recording with Claudia, and I was like, I was there, but I didn't think I was as like charismatic as I normally am, in large part because it was like, oh, this is pre-recorded.
You were also like, it was like somebody else's show too. Like,
yeah. And I would never try to like. Jason's got his own thing. He hasn't been on Outcasts in a while, man. Has he been busy?
I know. I want him on. I got Jason. Let's go. Are you watching? You know where it is. Go get the link.
Do you think I should try to do Sturdy show tomorrow if I'm hammered?
Yeah, dude. Come on. Oh, I'm not going to be there tomorrow. You got to do it.
I'm going to be drinking from noon till 9.
Yeah, no.
What's your show about?
Which show?
Star Trek 5 versus
Rogue One. Yeah, that was a winner for me. A clear winner.
Oh, you're so wrong, Mick. Like the fact you need to have a greater appreciation of Star Trek 5, dude.
I have the exact amount of appreciation for Star Trek 5 as I need to have, which means that I respect it as like you get an awesome interactions from the core group, and you get the A. You know, so
it's not better.
That's the end of that's my list.
It's not better than Rogue One.
I think it is. I love Rogue One.
Here's a hot take. I think Rogue One is the second best Star Wars movie ever made.
I'm actually with you, Frankie. I think Rogue One is it, but I also call Star Wars a second-tier franchise. So people get real mad at me about that. Like, I'm sorry. It has 2.5 good movies.
I'm gonna leave that up for a few seconds.
Sorry,
just,
3.5.
Just for you, Dan.
I'm not because like in my head I was thinking episode 4, 5, and half of 6.
Well, first of all, the prequels, garbage.
Yep.
Trash bag.
Sequels, garbage.
So the sequels.
No, Revenge of the Sith was good.
No, it was trash until the last 5 minutes. It was trash.
What?
Trash. Trash. trash.
Yeah, you should have your brother on more. I like this.
Trash.
He's such a thing I want to.
Oh, come on in with you guys.
In terms of the sequels, the first one was good. When they turned Luke Skywalker, in part of my language, into a gaping fucking pussy, trash.
But that's a problem with my first. The first one is like it leads into the second one, and like, what a poor delivery, man.
Yeah.
And then in their infinite freaking stupidity, they come out with Solo. My favorite character in Star Wars ever, Han Solo.
Same.
And they
Teared
get
up when he died.
Oh
Teared
my
up when he
God.
died, and I never.
This is why Dan and I get along so well. There's none of the childhood trauma with Dan, but he's just like you.
Whoever the casting person was that said that's going to be Solo in the Solo movie should never work in movies ever.
Nick, he doesn't look anything at all like Harrison Ford. The guy does not. He doesn't act. Doesn't look like. I didn't
stick up for Solo.
Trash.
Wait, I'm sorry. Did you guys think I was, dude? The Holy Trilogy.
It's not holy. The third one is half a movie, Mick.
Oh my god! I'm not
doing
that.
Return of the Jedi.
I'm not doing
Oh,
this
you
with
mean
you
when
again.
they made a movie to sell action figures?
Yep.
These
Oh
little
my god!
looking dumb
Transformers,
bears.
Star Wars, the movie.
The Holy Trilogy.
Bear with a
Rogue
spear.
One. The Holy Trilogy. Rogue One. The Holy Trilogy. Rogue One. The Mandalorian. And Ashoka was pretty good. And the Rebels, Clone Wars. The Clone War movie was pretty good. I like Revenge of the Sith too, so I'm gonna stick that on there. So these guys are wrong. Don't listen to them. Sorry, guys. I had to get that out, but I had to work it out too.
Well, while you were quoting all that, you forgot the Bad Batch, which is.
Shit! I know I forgot.
Damn, came right back in and got you.
Thank you.
Rebels was awesome, but
Rebels.
I said Rebels.
Amazing.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like but it's not a movie. Like what makes it a second tier franchise is there's more bad than good, and even if you go back to extended universe stuff from the 80s and 90s, it's still more bad than good. Like, I'm sorry, like. You don't get to make some of the stuff they make and have me at least. And whatever. I'm not a gatekeeper. Anybody can love it. When people are like, I love X, Y, and Z. Okay, great. Lovely.
I think, you know what?
Do.
I think if I'm going to judge it in that sense, my second tier would be franchises that I no longer need to see when it first comes out.
Okay.
Well, the problem with Star Wars is when Disney got involved and they ignored canon. You know,
they said they didn't have any. They didn't have any material to go on.
So you had a story to go on.
Yeah.
And they introduced Kylo Ren. That's a non-factor. If you introduced Jaden and Jada and Anakin Solo, you had your stories. And now Disney is apparently coming out with a new show with Rey Skywalker, who's going to find the new Jedi.
I don't mind Rey. I liked her character, but I just didn't like the story that she was stuck in.
Liked her setup.
And I like Daisy Ridley. She's a good actor.
Yeah. Daisy Ridley's fine, but they didn't deliver. They did, Mick, the critics are right in terms of one thing. They did turn her into a Mary Sue, which is disappointing. Like, in the other thing to a certain extent, that second movie ruined any kind of like movement they had.
They turned Skywalker into a fucking clown, into a whiny baby clown. And here's another.
I'm not defending any of those movies. They weren't on my list.
What's his name? Finn? Not Finn.
Finn. Yeah. I like John Boyega too. I wish they didn't do him wrong. Like I liked
turned him into a complete fucking whiny baby.
Yes, but that's not his fault. Like that first Finn, that first one, I feel like that could have went in a really good direction had they fucking not changed everything.
But the other part that we're ignoring, Mick, beyond the 9 movies, okay, or 11 if you prefer, beyond the 11 movies. The strongest thing that Star Wars has ever done beyond that is Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2. Like, and it's not even close, right? Like, as far as sheer audience numbers, it was one of the best. Both games were best-selling Xbox games in the mid-2000s at a time where you didn't have any other strong Star Wars stories. The fact that they haven't reached out and retained that, with the exception of what happens in Rebels. Rebels does, right? Or the end of the last 2 seasons when Filoni directed Clone Wars. That's the part. Like, they went wrong. Like, Dave Filoni should have just left.
I would not. Yeah, I will never stick up for those 3 movies. Well, only thing I'm saying is, like, if they're going to continue, I liked Poe, I liked Finn, and I liked Rey. So, like, they're good characters if they're going to continue with. I hope they get good writing, like Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni and stuff like that. I think it's in good hands if they're doing it. But yeah, for me though. So let me ask you this then, franchise, both of you. What's your perfect franchise?
Aliens.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
2 movies?
Mick, we talked about this earlier. It was Indiana Jones until the last movie.
You didn't like the I liked the
I liked it.
No.
And I think I'm a Crystal Skull apologist. So
I want to see a debate on this one.
The last 2. And here's why.
Real combat.
So when I was growing up, Mick was a couple of years behind me. You were either a Star Wars guy or you were
Indiana Jones. Yeah.
And I was an Indiana Jones guy. So
when were you ever one or the other? I was always across the board.
People I grew up with, like, I dressed up as Indiana Jones and people are
Yes.
Oh no!
Yes.
There was like 6 Halloweens where I went as Indiana Jones. Yeah.
So with Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Temple of Doom, Last Crusade, there's always a historical component on it.
That's the trilogy thing.
Yeah. First of all, if you put Shia LaBeouf in any movie, fuck you. He sucks. Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, garbage. And then the Dial of Destiny. I'm sorry, I grew up on it. Maybe I'm partial because I don't want to see an 85-year-old Harrison Ford pretending he can clap.
You know what handles that really well? I don't mean to sidestep, Frankie. The best version of that happens in Picard.
Yeah.
Season 1 of Picard, all of these soldiers surround Picard, and he whips out a rapier. No, they throw him a rapier. Am I right, Mick? They throw him a rapier. They throw him a rapier, and they say, "Oh, you're Picard. You're gonna like." And he kind of like brandishes it for a second, and he looks at all these young guys, and he looks at the rapier, and he fucking tosses it to the side, and he's like, "Okay, whatever." Like,
because he's old.
Yep. But in the new one, Indy does that a little bit. When he's in the warehouse and they're chasing him, he has like something, and he looks at them. And he's like, I can't fucking do this, and he just kind of bails. Like
80-year-old Indiana Jones cannot run around and jump on the top of fucking trucks. It just can't happen.
Yeah. So what I
80-year-old that day, dude. Yes, you can. Adrenaline, a little fortitude, and fucking know-how, and you can do anything. And Indiana Jones knows how.
Nick, we went from the Ark of the Covenant to
yes, AJ. Here, you're right.
To time travel.
The Ark
time travel.
Yeah, AJ, you're right. We went from no. In fact, we went from. First of all, are you crazy? All right, rant time. Here we go.
Here we go.
Listen, AJ, I really appreciate what you're saying right now, but you're wrong. Because the fact of the matter is, we went from the Ark of the Covenant, where the ghosts of Moses or whatever come out and melt the faces of
Yeah,
Nazis,
I'm gonna mute
and
myself
then they
here.
have to pack it up and put it away because it's too powerful. Rolling into the stones that were in India, and they had to bring those and Kali Ma ripping out hearts, the whole 9 yards. The things glowed, they burned people, blah blah blah.
Hold on.
No, I'm on a rant. So here we go. No, you have to listen to this or you're getting nicked. Here we go. And then you get to the next one where what do? They find the Holy Grail and his father comes back to life because he drinks the water of Jesus or whatever. Okay. Then we have the next one where his son comes in and he's jumping on stuff and he's 60 years old. Okay, whatever. We can believe that. And we can also believe in interdimensional alien beings that live in the Aztec and everything's fine. But we cannot fathom the idea of time travel.
I can't fathom the idea. If I'm Mick,
unless it's a DeLorean, is that the problem?
If I'm 80 years old and I'm cracking
a telephone booth, they had those.
If I'm 80 years old and I'm cracking a whip and slinging over things, then by God, I'm the greatest man that ever lived. He's 80. Leave it alone.
Jack Palance at 85 years old got down on the ground and did a one-arm push-ups.
You shut your face. Jack Palance is a stud.
Why can't Indy be a stud, you maniac?
Because he's a retired professor.
It ruined my childhood.
Yeah, well, you're going to be a retired professor one day.
Right, and when I'm 80 years old, guess what I'm not going to be doing? Fighting Nazis and friggin'...
I want to fight. What a way to go down. Can I go down fighting Nazis? Can that happen?
My brother, everybody, the guy who goes, I don't want to be fighting Nazis. Dude, everybody should want to fight.
It was not a good movie.
It wasn't good. No, so this is the difference. Is like, and we talk about this sometimes.
It's not above the Miyagi line for me.
I think that Crystal Skull is below the Miyagi line. The newer one is slightly above the Miyagi line. Every other Indiana Jones movie is way above.
You talk about, you say the Miyagi line. I love Karate Kid. Love Karate Kid Part 1, love Karate Kid Part 2. If you think I'm believing that Mr. Miyagi, his old ass is roundhouse kicking people in the Cobra Kai dojo.
He was our age, AJ. He was our age.
What the Miyagi line is, Frankie,
that hurt your feelings.
We wanted to have.
You didn't know.
We wanted to have an average because, like, in my opinion, when people start comparing things, so you're a baseball fan, right?
Yes.
Yes.
It's based on the Mendoza line. So the Mendoza line says this: can you bat 220 throughout an entire baseball season, right? And that means that your WAR, wins above replacement, is 0, right? If you can be somebody who's at the Mendoza line. We wanted the Mendoza line of films. And when Mick and I talked about it, we said Karate Kid, though good and some high points, is our 75% in terms of cinema. Has some good parts, has some bad parts, but it's dead middle, right? There are a lot of movies that are worse than that. There are a lot of movies that are better than that. It's a dead middle of the line.
I absolutely agree.
And
wait, what did you say?
Karate Kid is our Mendoza.
Okay, Karate Kid. Yeah, Karate Kid, 75%. Yeah. That I agree with. I wasn't sure if you switched gears on the movie.
It's not even 10:30 yet.
Karate Kid is middle.
I've seen you worse than Layla way earlier.
Karate Kid is middle.
Let's spill this.
No, not middle. Average. Middle. So 75%. There are movies that are like 10%, right? Like there's a lot, like the line below them. But what we call the Mendoza line or the Miyagi line is basically like this movie is solid. It's not necessarily good.
Yeah, that scene
definitely not bad.
That scene with Pat Morita when he's talking about his wife and his child is Oscar worthy. Oscar worthy. And then you have Daniel crane kicking Johnny
about the greatest
out of his mind and winning because that's not legal.
Even though it's an illegal
how about the greatest soundtrack song for a movie ever?
You're the best around?
Yes. Yes.
Of course. What did you think it was going to be?
I love it, but I have to disagree.
AJ's top 2 songs on his playlist are going to be "Fortunate Son," and then it's going to be that whatever he just said. What was that one? What
You're
was
the best around.
You're the best around, and then after that, it's "Real American." Like,
hop for that no matter what, Frankie. I am a real American.
No, he'll sue me.
How dare you besmirch Karate Kid?
Oh God, we didn't even talk about it.
No, we just said it. Like, no, it's a 75%.
I invited him on. I invited him on because he wanted to talk about Vince McMahon.
Oh.
And that was the greatest segue, and then I ruined it.
Yeah, greatest segue. Talk about Vince McMahon, because I don't know a whole lot about what's going on right now. I've tuned out of wrestling for about like 4 or 5 years. So
all right,
wait. Go ahead, AJ.
Plus, it lets me get another beer.
I'm a super wrestling nerd. I've been a wrestling fan since probably 1985.
Talk about the allegations and stuff,
and
I don't want you to listen to that.
Like we were talking earlier, Mick and I talked on the phone, and I guess the only thing I would say as it pertains to that is, are you surprised?
I'm not. But...
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't hear anything you just said. I muted because my wife was walking through and she's a sexual assault survivor, and so I just didn't want her to hear any of the bad stuff.
I'm not surprised at all, but I also, and Mick and I have talked about this. Anybody who's supremely wealthy, I have 0% trust for. I don't know. I don't care who it is. You could tell me, who do you think is the best behaved? Like Tom Hanks. There we go. Like Tom Hanks, right? If tomorrow in the headlines it was Tom Hanks sex trafficked 14-year-old girls, I'd be like, yeah, that tracks. Like, that's how little trust I have in anybody who has wealth.
Anyone. You know what? I heard the craziest Peter Weller story on TikTok.
Peter Weller?
I guess he was in a movie with Corey Haim when they were kids, and well, not when they were kids, but when he was real little. And,
RoboCop time, right? Yeah.
Not even before that. I think it was like 83 or 84. And so the story, from what I understand, from what I heard in the story, was Corey Haim went to talk to him after they cut and tell him how he liked them in the scene and stuff or whatever.
Yep.
And supposedly he grabbed Corey Haim by the neck and put him up against the wall, and he went to go punch him. It took 3 guys to pull him off the kid.
Holy hell. I just watched Leviathan the other night, too.
Ugh,
that's an underrated film.
Well, if you watch it, for years, you remember when they were the Coreys in the 80s?
Yep.
Yeah.
Corey Feldman said for years about how child actors and actresses were being exploited.
Just exploited.
And he was just run through the rigmarole. Like, he's an ex-drug addict, which whatever, he had his problems. But when you start to see it, and the thing about Vince McMahon is it's not so much what's happening now. And Mick, I actually thought about this the whole ride home after we talked, is what don't you know? You know what I mean? Like, yeah. And I think right before I hung up with Mick, I was like, Triple H is shaking in his boots.
Yeah.
That's your father-in-law.
That, to me, you fire everyone from the Vince regime. No, I'm not talking about the wrestlers and stuff.
Stephanie?
Yeah, both. Out. Get them out. Get rid of them.
Well, the other thing,
everybody. It's not that I don't like them. I'm not saying they were a part of it, but there's no way. There's
Stephanie does some of the best writing for that entire company.
Well,
I like her. I like what she's done, but
the issue that comes up is what was accepted versus what's not accepted now. So if you look back in the 80s, and because I'm a nerd when it comes to wrestling, drugs were accepted.
Oh, yeah.
Were accepted.
Read about, was it Mae West or whatever?
Mae Young.
Mae Young.
No, not Mae Young. The Fabulous
Mae Young, she was like running like the brothel of the women wrestlers and such.
The Fabulous Moolah.
Fabulous Moolah.
You start to look at like what was accepted. And so like Mick and I had talked, and it's like, you might not have known it was that bad, but you knew something.
You knew it was bad.
So when you talk about a talent like, say, Triple H or say The Rock, yeah, you knew Vince was stepping out on his old lady. Did you know he was dropping a shit brick on this woman's head?
Yes, I believe they did. I believe every top face since that company became what it was knew, because Brock Lesnar, if he's this one that they're talking about, and he's now off of everything in WWE, he's not even being acknowledged. So I wonder who it is. If he was the top guy, that Vince's guy that he wanted to keep signing, if he's doing this for him, there's no way he wasn't doing similar things.
Okay, fill me in on this because I don't know the
So,
break from
Mick, if you may,
go ahead.
The story came out. Vince McMahon and her name's Janelle Grant. They signed an NDA back in 2021 when Vince McMahon first stepped down.
The first step down. Yep.
Then he came back, and apparently Vince McMahon, in his infinite, like, I'm a pimp, said, I'm just going to stop paying you the $3 million I was supposed to pay you. So she files this lawsuit. If you read the story and you read the lawsuit and the depositions, the stuff in there is really, really cruddy. Like, I mean, you're talking about him and a guy named John Laurinaitis, who was
I know Laurinaitis, yep. And his son was a football player from Ohio State. Basically
saying no means yes. And they're like tag teaming her. Then apparently he hooked up with this girl and dropped a brick on her head while they were banging, because apparently he's into that shit. So,
but not to her knowledge.
Right.
Jesus, so, he's into humiliation, it seems.
Yeah.
He's a sadist. The best way
that tracks.
Yeah. And so now when it comes in is the first time he stepped down, his daughter Stephanie stepped up, took the realm. He came back in, she rolled.
Yeah.
She was like, I'm out. Now there's stories on Twitter for the truth and transparency. Don't know. This is just what I'm reading off Twitter. She dimed him out to the Wall Street Journal.
Oh.
Now it comes out exactly how dirty it was.
Yep.
He resigns. Now you understand he doesn't own WWE anymore. TKO owns it. Now you got Brock Lesnar involved, and now once you cast that net wide, is who else knew? Did Triple H know? Did HBK know?
And that's the thing. Even if you didn't, like, since the 90s, I've heard these things.
No.
You know, and it's like, and like to a point where it's like, yeah, oh shit, this might be real. Like, this is crazy. And so, like, none of this is a surprise to me. It's disgusting. And to me, how do you send out text messages to like 30 people in the company and stuff about this woman and trying to pass her around and do all these things? People are going to hear things. People are going to, like, even if they're afraid, there's something's going to come out.
It's hubris. Like, the guy probably thought he was untouchable.
Well, you also have to understand in that industry, and I'm not excusing, I want to be on record to say I'm not excusing it, is when you're a talent and your sole way of feeding your family is this one guy, what would you do? Like, maybe turn a blind eye? Not right, not wrong.
Yeah.
Something should be said. But again, it goes back to, like, look at people like Sasha Banks and people who left who said, I don't want to deal with this anymore.
Yeah.
But when you're a wrestler and you're running roads and you're doing, 360 days a year, and this guy's putting food on your table, then you keep your mouth shut.
I know what you're saying. Yeah, and
it's fear. No, but what I'm saying is I understand it. I'm not talking about the wrestlers. I'm talking about the regime, the company. You get rid of the WWE, like, who was there.
Well, like, Mick, what we had talked about is I don't think it's uniquely weird that The Rock was put on the board of TKO.
course,
Remember,
he's likable. They teamed
I
with
think
the
they're
women.
slowly going to start that coming over. Nick Khan, definitely going to go. And I think, honestly, I think Triple H is going to go. Because
So would they bring somebody like The Rock in, or would they bring somebody outside? Somebody like, man, honestly, a guy that I think, and I don't know if you guys watch wrestlers on Netflix, but Al Snow.
they wouldn't bring him in. They may bring him in to run storylines, but just this past week, TKO named The Rock and they put him on the board. They didn't do that by accident.
So
They didn't do that by accident. They're gonna slowly but surely. So when TKO took over WWE, it is kind of like a branch, and they said, "Well, WWE's over here. Vince is going to run it." And Vince, being the scumbag, brilliant businessman that he is, said, "Well, you're going to name me like the chief executive officer." Well, he's since resigned. I think they're slowly going to slide The Rock over with his ex-wife, 7-Pound Production, and they're going to take over.
You think that'll be good for the business or bad?
I think it'll be good. I think The Rock will be, with that money that they're already putting into it. Listen, there's one thing I will say, like, I don't love how it seems The Rock operates on some things that when I read things or see things.
Yeah.
But I think he will. I think if he's coming in, having been a wrestler, having been from that lineage, he will take care of it. That will be a safe and sound business. I think that will. There's no way I will never believe The Rock to screw over wrestlers that are working under him, or he's teaching or mentoring.
You wouldn't want somebody else from. I'm trying to think of other names from back then that, like, I don't know. I feel like WWE is something that you got to have somebody who knows the entire industry. Maybe The Rock does. I don't know enough.
If you wanted to be good again, you have to get guys that had to leave because they were kind of forced out because for whatever reason.
Would you want something
doing well elsewhere?
Jarrett or Jericho or Snow?
Jericho's got his own problems right now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, what happened with him?
Inappropriate behavior in the AEW locker room.
Jesus.
Really? No, but I had heard that was like a false report too. I don't know. I can't claim one way or the other, but I did hear, not from like him or anything like that. Like I heard like that was a false report, and usually from sources that I like.
I have no idea. I know what you're talking about, Frankie, but I don't know if it's true or not.
What I would say is probably HBK is going to stay. They're going to keep him down in NXT because he's doing a monster job down there.
Yep.
I don't
think he needs to go too. I think he does too, because he was the main guy back in the 90s, and
it's very hard to say what's going to happen.
You got to get rid of the regime. I don't care if they're mentors or not. Like when that reporter asked, "What are you doing to keep your employees safe?" and he's like, "Everything." Everything. Like, okay, well that means that everybody who knew that stuff has to be wiped out.
Yeah.
So what about Mick Foley? Isn't he still part of the board?
I don't know.
No, he's been removed.
Okay. I didn't know if he was still like writing and stuff like that or not.
I don't think so. I'm not sure. He has a podcast, I think, that does really well.
It's 10 o'clock. I have to be up at 3 a.m.
Thank you for your service. Semper Fi.
Mike's
hey, I'm Army. I'm not going to say Semper Fi.
Oh, Army.
Well, which one's Oorah? Which one of you is Oorah?
That's me. Oorah.
Hoorah.
Hoorah. Hoorah. Hoorah. Hoorah.
He's Hoorah.
You're Hoorah? Your hoo-ha.
You call me hoo-ha? Don't call me hoo-ha.
I'm trying to figure it out.
Nick, I'll make it real simple with you.
Yeah.
How do you say "oorah" with a dick in your mouth?
No.
Oh.
Don't act like I'm Air Force. Don't act like I'm Air Force. Don't.
My wife is Air Force.
Don't act like I'm Air Force.
My wife is Air Force.
Yeah, but she's. I'm not gonna. I won't say that about Lady Manhattan. Sorry, I'm so sorry, Mary. I was gonna get. I was already tripping back into being 20 years old. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
All right, gentlemen, I gotta go to bed.
Good night, Artie Joe.
Frankie Knuckles.
Frankie Knuckles. Later, go.
I'll talk to you later, guys.
Bye.
See you, buddy.
Holy.
And there were two.
And there were two. Not for long. Cause
Are you wrapping up?
Yeah, I'm wrapping up soon because
I only drank one beer, Mick.
No, but I gotta take a long drive tomorrow.
I gotta go to Tim's house. Does that count?
No, I have to go to another state.
What state? Where are you going?
I have to go to New Jersey.
Oh.
And then I'm coming right back.
I hear New Jersey's a shithole. That's what I hear.
It's I mean, listen. Jersey's a place that I'm glad I don't live in, but I'm glad I'm from.
I'm proud to live here and from being from.
Yeah, I love it though. That's the point. But that's who we are. But I wouldn't want you to be from Jersey.
I'd be a bad Jerseyite, I think.
You'd be a terrible Jersey. You'd be logicking too much, and everybody would get mad. And you what it is not that you talk too much; it's that you pronunciate, and we don't do that in Jersey.
Who the fuck invited this guy right here?
It's very short sentences. The Sopranos. I almost want to count the minutes in air in like dead air that the Sopranos has because they just say so little.
Where do you rank? Speaking of, so we were talking about this earlier. Where do you rank The Sopranos? Because my wife thinks it's boring.
It's one of my favorite shows. I don't think it's a top 10.
Really?
But no, not anymore. It was at one time, but not anymore.
It's on the curve. So she's like, if I had watched that when it came out, I'd think it was great. But because I tried to make her watch it, she got through 2 seasons with me, and she was like, "Nah, I'm bored. I'm done." So she made it to when Big Pussy like turned straighter, right? Like,
yeah. I guess
when I watched that in the 2000s, so I think I watched it in like 2003, 2004. I watched the whole series, right? Thought it was brilliant, and then I was watching it with her, and I was like, I kind of don't like it. And I wasn't saying it. I wasn't saying it out loud. I was like, nah, this show's brilliant. It's amazing. James Gandolfini deserved every award ever. But in my head, I was like, I kind of don't like it.
I love that. I love that that's the case. I mean, I get it. Like, listen, at one time it was, but I think it was a time where I was just kind of ingratiated, and I think some of the final seasons I had just left. Like, I moved away out of New Jersey for the first time, so I think for me it was a special show. Okay. Now, I'm not saying it was number 1 of all time for me, but like for me, the perfect show is Breaking Bad.
I was literally going to ask you what is so here is. I love Breaking Bad.
Oh, Jesus.
I love it. Oh, there we go. I love Breaking Bad. And you already know what's coming. But so there are parts of that show. For instance, like Skylar's turn when she just walks into the pool. Or like other parts where I'm just like, why? And I would love to sit down with the head writers and just kind of pick their brain about it. As somebody that's a student of writing, like I love that show. I loved it when it went on. In the moment, I would have called it the greatest television show ever made. I've rewatched it 3 times.
I 100% know and understands Skylar's walk into the pool. That nervous breakdown where you are at a point where it's not that you want to kill yourself. It's that you just don't mind if you would die right now. And you're just, because it's so much of a nervousness. So what you do is like, because I understood, because listen, I've had a nervous breakdown, and I will tell you, I wish I had a pool to walk into, but because it's that level of, this thing could cool me off and comfort me, but it could also kill me, and I'm okay with either of those at this moment.
I don't know.
I 100%.
So some of the episodes are brilliant. Oh, brilliant, right? Like, the other thing,
every single one.
Like, I have a problem when Walt doesn't just let Jesse get killed when he runs those drug dealers over. Make it like at that moment in the series. Now later on in the series, it makes more sense, but when it happens, when Walt is that desperate, I was like, why?
I understand 100%.
I
understand 100%. He won't let him die. He can't let him die, because the whole time the reason. Oh my God. You're right. No. Hold on.
Masterpiece. Just let that dude die.
No, he can't let him die, because if he lets him die, he loses the one thing he has complete control and power over. Good. Yes. He should let him die, so that way he's free. Jesse's free.
And he can build an empire.
But he can't, because he's down and out now. And so, like, for him, it's, I'm gonna fucking, like, everything's falling around him. So, like, I can't lose the one thing I have control over. It will be out there. He'll know. So, I wonder, it's sadistic. It's so sociopathic.
What would I call a perfect?
Oh, not psychopathic. I'm sorry, psychopathic.
I don't know what my perfect television series is. And you know how much I love Futurama, but even that Futurama has episodes that I'm like, yeah, whatever. I skip them, especially Jurassic Park, which is the dog one. I don't watch that ever.
I'd say the only other show, like Breaking Bad for me, only because it's a condensed series. Those 20.
Oh, it was. I mean, every TV series that really isn't serialized should be 4 or 5 seasons, right? Like, that's.
Yeah.
And in fact, that's why I don't list Next Generation, which is a television show that I think is probably the best ever made, but it's not perfect. God, I'm old. I have issues with television.
No, I agree with you. I don't think they're really, like, Breaking Bad and Twilight Zone are the only two that I could think come close to perfect, but I don't think they're perfect.
But even the Twilight Zone rehashes stuff. Like,
you had, of course, remind me of some things for Breaking Bad, but screw you. But it could have been perfect.
I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry. Like, I love it. It's probably my favorite non-cartoon television series ever.
Better Call Saul was pretty fucking perfect, though.
I prefer Better Call Saul to Breaking Bad.
I get that. I understand. There's two completely different shows.
It's an inverted story, right? It's an inverted story of, like, somebody who, in my opinion, learns to be better. Like, it's weird. It's kind of like, where Breaking Bad is this guy who learns to be worse.
So I think it's more, this guy is Breaking Bad. He's going into bad. He's becoming worse. Whereas with Jimmy into Saul is, this guy desperately wants to be good. He's already bad. He wants to be good. And he comes all the way full circle to both of them, where it's just like, in the end, it kills you. or you get
they end up, it's a line from Breaking Bad, actually. I liked it. And that's the thing, is, like, Jimmy realizes he liked being bad. And Walt realizes he liked being bad. Yeah. Like, that recognition, that line is so good.
That's a fucking really good one.
And why Saul makes you care more. Like, by season 5 of Breaking Bad, I was like, can they just kill Walter White already? Like, he's such an asshole, right? Whereas the last season, was it season 4 or 5 of Saul? It was one of the two.
But That's what I love about Breaking Bad. The protagonist is Walt in the beginning, and Jesse's a sidekick, and through it, Walt becomes the ultimate bad guy, and Jesse becomes the Ronin, sort of, and he takes on the protagonist.
That's a good label for him. What TV show? Like, Buffy is incomplete. Angel is definitely incomplete. You know, hey, you know what's a perfect television series? Only because every single episode is great.
What?
Golden Girls.
Oh yeah, it's hard to argue. Oh wow.
Maybe others would argue Matlock.
You know what? I would not argue. The only other one I would argue for, along with Golden Girls, is Cheers.
I haven't seen enough. I can't even count.
Oh, dude, Cheers was an anomaly. Cheers...
My grandpa towed Norm's van when he got a drunk driving in Michigan. He and I had to take it back to Chicago together.
Oh, that's awesome!
Isn't that so weird? My grandpa and I drove Norm's van back to Chicago with his, like, we didn't want to take it with the tow truck, so we put it on a flatbed behind his pickup.
Dan, I don't think you understand why you are officially the real life Ted Lasso.
Oh my God.
So George Wendt, the wonderful George Wendt, who played Norm in Cheers, he is the uncle of Jason Sudeikis. And the connections keep coming.
Oh my God. You keep pulling that in.
I'm telling you, Dan. I'm telling you. I believe it.
My wife says I'm Roy Kent.
I'm your Coach Beard. I got the beard and everything.
My wife says I'm Roy Kent. So
you're the what?
Roy Kent.
I think you're nah. You're Lasso.
My brother is Ted Lasso.
Roy
Kent is Ted Lasso.
No, you can't be Roy Kent. You're the guy who inspires Roy Kent. That's who you are. Roy Kent's one of your students.
I have no idea. My brother is
watch the show. Watch the show.
I can't because
do it. Watch it. I'm telling you, please, Dan. And it's just an experiment. Okay. You said you do anything for the Scene Snobs, right? I'm going to ask a big favor right now.
Oh no.
Can we please? I will make time. I'll do whatever, and we'll do it on your time, whenever you want. We can take as long as you want. Do a Ted Lasso rewatch together. Please.
Nick,
I'll watch it. Cause me with you if you want to watch it together. I'm like slumber party ready, dude. Let's do this.
So listen, this is it. It's not a terrible idea as far as content creation, okay? Because I'm somebody, but the other part is everybody keeps telling me to watch it. And the last thing in the world that works ever on me is when everybody tells it. Like, I ended up. So you remember when the original Spider-Man came out? What was it, like 99?
2001, I think.
Okay, whatever year. So everybody's like, you have to watch Spider-Man. You have to watch. I waited 2 years to watch Spider-Man until. So like 2 years later, I think is when Spider-Man 2 came out, like 2003. I watched Spider-Man 1 the morning of going to watch Spider-Man 2. And the only reason is because Sam Raimi brought in all the horror elements to Spider-Man 2, and that's what I heard. That was the only... Had he not been... And everybody was like, it's a horror movie. And I was like, okay, I'll go see it. Had it not been that narrative, I never would have seen Spider-Man 1. I wouldn't have, because everybody's like... You know how it is with people. They're like,
Spider-Man? I get that, and I'll respect it, but here's the thing. There's a loophole. I'm not telling you to watch Ted Lasso. I'm begging you to join me in the journey of
my wife bought Tim all this, like a couple of years ago, all this Ted Lasso stuff. Like, everybody, like, and among principals, Mick, Ted Lasso is a god.
Yeah. Please.
Which makes me hate it more.
Oh my God. Yes. Listen, please. Listen to me. Just please hear me out. We can turn this into an educational thing. We can
Everybody
talk
had.
about.
I had to so the last year when I was at MEMSPA, I had to a professional development that was basically Ted Lasso the principal. That was basically the professional development. And it was being a principal through the eyes of Ted Lasso. That was the title of it. And I was like, I have no idea about this, but people are pumped about it. And so many people signed up for it that I had to waitlist people. And oh man, do I hate anything that gets that popular? Man, do I hate it.
Please.
So, what was the Secession?
No, that show sucked.
She loved it. So I ruined. It was either season 2 or 3. How many seasons are there of it?
4.
4. So it was either at the end of season 2 or 3. She's downstairs in the basement watching it, and I sat down to eat dinner or something. So I watched like 2 episodes. I watched the second to last and the last. Right. We finished the second to last, and I turned to her and I said, this, and this, like 4 things. She's like, that's not going to happen. I was like, no, watch. These 4 things are going to happen. Sure enough, tick, 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 all 4 things happened. She was like, you're such an asshole. Like, every time I sat down with Miranda and I watched parts of it, of Ted Lasso, that is, not Secession, I was like, this is the most predictable show that I've ever seen. I don't like that. I don't want that. It's why I didn't go see Titanic in 1998. I was like, hey, guess what happens? The fucking ship sinks. Like, you know what happens at the end of Ted Lasso? He goes home to his family. I could have predicted that in season 1, episode 1.
You did not do a full watch, and you need to see a full watch.
That whole part when he's on the plane in the last episode, I was like, this is so mundane. This is so like it's archetypal and like super sweet, but
I disagree.
God, like
you should watch Shrinking too. It's really good.
Shrinking, I don't know that one.
That's Bill Lawrence and Brett Goldstein from Ted Lasso went and made that show. It's Jason Segel, Harrison Ford.
I love Jason Segel.
Dude, it's funny. It's very Ted Lasso-ish, but it's a little more mature towards
you know what Jason Segel's most brilliant movie is?
What?
Forgetting Sarah Marshall. That musical die.
It was that's kind of I would classify that as a masterpiece of comedy.
I love it. And that Forgetting Sarah, like, I love that movie, and I know other people find it really depressing, but you know what my kind of show is though, Mick? Like, what? First of all, let me explain this. Why I'm not a TV guy. I gotta preface this just because, like, I think this is a gap that I've never addressed on the Scene Snobs. I'm not a TV guy because I'm not a commercial guy. Ooh. Even in high school, I refused. I didn't want. So as far as what you call classic TV shows, I never, ever watched them unless I had the DVDs. I'm dead serious. The only TV show that I finished while I was like younger than probably 21 was The Wonder Years. That was it. And it was just because I was so young that I just was obsessed with it. But every other show, the only thing I ever watched was Beavis and Butthead and The Simpsons in the 90s. That's pretty much it. That and sports. I watched Beavis and Butthead, The Simpsons, and sports. So I had to catch up. In the 2000s, on pretty much everything. But in the 2000s, I could buy the DVDs or the VHSs, right? No commercials.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's why I think I'm so behind. I guess that's what I would call it. I feel like behind people in terms of TV shows. But the other side, when it comes to a TV show, I'm trying to remember the name of it, but it's what's it? It's Ricky Gervais, his show he did for Apple.
Apple.
Pretty sure it was on Apple.
Well, he did Life After Death on Netflix. He did Derek on Netflix. He did.
It's the one where his wife died and he's
Life After Death.
Oh, that was on Netflix. I thought it was on Apple. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
So Ricky Gervais, that show, that's my, like, I watched probably like 4 or 5 episodes of Miranda. That's my sense of humor. Like, I laughed my ass off at that show. And she's like, you're kind of fucked up. And I was like, yeah, I guess a little. But I like that show. This is the thing. It's like, it's so saccharine. Something like, I don't like the saccharine, man. And so, like, when it comes to whether whatever show you want to pick, I feel like it's super saccharine. I have a hard time with it because I roll my fucking eyes, and I shouldn't. I know I shouldn't, but I roll my eyes. And I'm like, oh God, this is what's going to happen next. And like, I know Ted Lasso is just so saccharine that I'm just like, God. Like that scene with the darts, man. That scene with the darts where you know he's gonna...
Beautiful.
I just roll my eyes at it. I do. I just roll my eyes at it. Like, I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Come on.
Can I ask you this? Did you watch the episode? Did you watch the episode, or did you just see that scene?
I just saw that scene.
That's completely out of context. When you understand everything Ted is doing whenever he's talking to anyone is coaching. He's there. He says his coach. He's parental figure. He's always trying to be positive. He's always trying to build rapport with everyone and get everyone excited. So then that way he can help like his team grow, build the whole nine. Like if he gets the whole city positive and excited, they're at those games cheering. Team starts doing well. You know that.
I'm going to give you a snippet of a speech I give to students day one. So when
I'm teaching fucking thing, I'm telling you, you better watch this goddamn show.
We'll see. Like, but you got to listen. You got to listen to why I don't think that I'm Ted Lasso. Okay. So one of the biggest lies, and I tell my students this, that adults tell young people, is find something you love and you never work a day in your life. And I specifically tell them this. I was like, that's a lie. Adults are lying to you when they tell you that. Here's a reality. When it comes to a job is always going to be a job. And even if you're working at loving it, you're still working. A hobby, you never have to worry about working at it because it's your hobby. And it's why you never make your hobby your job. You'll put 110, 120, 130% of yourself into a hobby and not worry about a second. But when it becomes a job, you will worry about those seconds eventually, and it will ruin your hobby. So when it comes to a career, I advise students, and I gave this speech to 8th graders this week. When it comes to a career, I advise people to find a job they can tolerate for long enough that they can procure retirement, and then they can do what they want. And that's why that's the thing. It's like that's me as a coach. When I'm coaching football players, I'm whipping them up into a frenzy, but I'm also telling them, like, look, you're going to play 16 snaps. I can get the best out of you for 16 snaps, but you're not better than 16 snaps. There are people that are better than you for longer. I'm going to rotate you in for 16 snaps. You're going to give me everything you have for those. And that's why, like, that's my counterpart to Ted Lasso is like, I will tell people straight up, here's your cap. And you need it, like, it's because I don't believe in dishonesty. From what I've seen, Ted Lasso is a dishonest person to people.
What do you mean?
So the snippets that I've seen,
snippets, they land everything, by the way. And I think I know what you mean, but I want to ask what you mean.
So when he is looking at people and saying, like, here's your ceiling, whatever, he never mentions a floor. And I'm sorry, like, there are people who have a higher floor than other people. It's just a truth.
What are you talking about?
So ceilings are here, right? Like achievements. Floors are how far you can fall.
Yeah.
And too often people are like, reach for the stars. And they never bother to mention people's floors. I'm somebody that can fall far. I can fall really fucking far. I have to pay attention to my floor. I don't worry as much about my ceiling. My ceiling's pretty high too, but my floor is really low. So I spend my life daily ensuring that my floor doesn't bottom out. And that's what I go about doing. My floor can fall low. And in large part, it's genetics, background, whatever you want to say. My floor can fall low. I never hear a lot of these people talk about floors. All they do is talk about breaking through ceilings. And some people, like me, for instance, need to hear you need to maintain to ensure that your floor is higher than other people's floor. And so you take somebody that's a bench player. I'll take somebody that's a bench player on defense. I'll take a defensive end, right?
You can all come up on my floor if you're cool.
What's that?
You can all come up on my floor if you're cool and not me.
So I'll take a 17-year-old that's never started, right?
Yeah.
So his floor is real low. And I'll coach him up on that floor instead of focusing on his ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
And I will tell him specifically, you're going to play 10 snaps. But on those 10 snaps, I can't have you doing X, Y, and Z.
So wait. So I'm just trying to understand. So like, if I can correlate it for a sec. So it's kind of like with each player, you're trying to find their floor and help them elevate that floor by design of who they are.
Not go lower than their floor. It's not about elevating their floor. Not go lower.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And that's the thing is like I don't think that
find your
bottom.
It's where it comes together as a team. Okay, gotcha.
So like
that's what they do in Ted Lasso.
They do not. That's so
yes,
that's such, no way. All I hear is
he
him
gives
talk
them
about, like,
are
cheating
books
your
that
highest
he chooses for him. He picks books out for them as gifts, and he wants them to read it because he wants each of them to learn a role from their personalities that he finds. Like Roy Kent gets A Wrinkle in Time by a little girl who wants to who needs to come into leadership, and he wants him. And it's a whole correlation. You have to watch the show and understand all of it, not snippets of it, and then get annoyed. You have to give it a chance.
I guess that's why
your own
design
of exceptionalism has to accept.
Right here.
You can't be exceptional by judging something that you don't know.
Oh, you threw in that word. Because I worry about exceptional.
No, you are an exceptional human being for sure.
I know. I'm not. I look for exceptional human beings.
I consider you an exceptional friend.
No, I am below the Miyagi. That's
the fuck out of here.
Like,
no, I'm below.
No,
I know where my floor is. I know. See,
my floor is real low, Mick. Like, that's what. Like, so what I believe in is honesty.
I'm all the way over here. See, Dan's above.
No, so I like honesty, and so I talk to students constantly about honesty. It bothers me. So like my parents growing up, and I mean my mom, I love her to death, and I've talked about her before on the show. Love my mom. She raised me well. She was always like, you need to reach for the stars, etc. And she was super hopeful about all that stuff. I was never going to be president. I was never going to be CEO. And those are realities, right? And like, I think that like people need to acknowledge, to a certain extent, reality. And it's one thing to be supportive. It's another thing to be delusional.
No, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. You could run for president.
Oh no!
Right? No.
People would shoot me in 2 seconds because I can't shut the fuck up.
Listen, you could run for president. You could do that. Could you be president? No, because realistically, in this world, they won't let you. And right.
But the other side, though, is that like, I think it's important once students get to a specific age, especially like middle school, right? And I'm going to have this conversation next week with the 7th and 8th graders in my school. I have to do this leadership course with them because our socio-emotional teacher like can't reach our 7th and 8th graders, so to speak. Like she struggles with them. So I'm stepping in and I'm just going to do it for the rest of the year. I think that honesty is really important, and it's downplayed in lieu of romanticism. So I believe in looking at students and saying, like, reach for whatever height you want to, but I want a solidified plan where you can say these 5 things are potential outcomes for me. And I could realistically, given hard work, not luck, hard work, accomplish these 5 things. And having a plan for these 5 things is integral to success. And like, I think that's where I like, I don't know, man. Every time I when Miranda was watching, I watched him and he was like looking at these players. Like I'd look at his teams and I'd be like, man, you guys should be really happy that you finished above 500. Great job. That's my mentality. It's like, you guys should be really happy you ended up above 500. Great work. Let's build on it.
About Ted Lasso. That's
you better believe that's a pattern.
Like, he does not say that. There's no way he actually says that.
Says what?
You'd be happy about landing above 500?
No. Ted Lasso? No. Well, everybody believes he's going to fail fucking miserably. It's amazing how that plays out. And he does. They get relegated in the first season. They lose. Then the second season, they build themselves back up to get to promotion.
Yeah.
And then the third season, you'll find out when we watch it.
Oh my God, damn it, Nick. But do you feel that though? That like, okay, you're a parent.
Yes.
And I love my mom to death, but like, she looked at a boy who his dad was absent. My stepdad, to a certain extent, was adjacent or at odds with taking that role. Okay. For a lot of reasons. And when I was younger, I kind of like took issue with it. But as I got older, I understood it a lot more. And said, you can achieve whatever you want to achieve. As an adult now, I look back at it and I'm like, that is bullshit. Because I had specific, and I'm not saying I was held back. That's not what I'm saying. It's more like the conditionality of what I grew up with was going to be baggage no matter where I went.
Yeah.
So the virtue of growing gave me specific skills that very much so I was driven towards, I'm going to help people.
Yeah.
Right?
Because you're Ted Lasso.
Or somebody who wants to reach out to people who feel like me. And I felt like other people that should have helped me didn't, right?
Yeah.
I want to be the truth in terms of that, to help people face what is already inside of them truthfully instead of dishonestly. And it comes from students for years saying, I'm going to go to the, honestly, so University of Michigan, I don't know if you know this or not, but is extremely difficult to get into.
Which one?
The University of Michigan, hard to get into. Has like a 14% success rate.
They accepted me.
U of M did? Oh, I was like, what? So
No.
I had kids in Ithaca, which is like a podunk corn town.
I'm telling you, I am going to bed. I'm going to bed very soon.
In my head, I already knew they weren't going. I was like, you're not going. You don't have the grades. You don't have the money. You don't have the clout, right? And so I had to find ways to tell this student they weren't going there without telling them they weren't going there. Because I would never tell somebody they couldn't do something, but I would tell somebody they need to have.
Good night to my children. Oh, be careful.
Night, Snobbit.
Good night,
Good night. Hello.
Hello.
Night, Mary.
Hi. Good night.
I have to go see my beautiful wife. She's wearing the same sweatshirt as you.
Wait, oh, back up.
Just throw them out of the way.
Where am I?
Right there.
Oh.
Great for support, and thank you guys.
Hey, and I got the one that's Kimball's Cookies colors.
Yeah.
Oh,
I haven't had one of those in a while, though.
those Frankenstein cookies are like, I've had dreams about those.
When we get back.
So good. All right, we'll wrap it up, Mick.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I looked at my wife's butt and I was like, I gotta go see her.
Oh. We'll see
I
you
love
next
you.
week, buddy.
And I appreciate you, and I love doing this with you. So
Hey, and anytime your brother wants to be on shows, we should have him. That was entertaining as fuck.
maybe we'll bring him back for some stories next week for the Super Bowl party.
Love
Scene
it.
Snobs Super Bowl party. Right here. Later, Gators.
Talk to you later, buddy.